And the illusion that we are currently experiencing is one of separateness. We are not separate. We never will be. It cannot be done. You and I cannot be separate from all that is. It cannot happen. It's non-existent. Doesn't work. We can tell ourselves all day long that we are separate. No, we're not. We're unique. But we're not separate. We never will be. It never was. Separation does not exist from the highest perspective. There is no separation. Everything is one. So let's trickle it down to the human construct. And let's look at it this way. If you and I are one, and I am hurting you, I am hurting myself. Hello, beautiful soul. Before we move on with the messages, I wanted to share something exciting with you. I am blowing away all my 2023 predictions for each zodiac sign at a crazy, incredible 75% off. So if you are wondering what's happening for the rest of the year, if you just want to check in what's going on, if you're curious what your lessons are, if you're curious what you are letting go of karmically, if you are curious as to what it is that you still need to address in order to expand into your higher consciousness, click on the link below. You'll be taken to a site where you will take advantage of this incredible offer. I've never done this before. We're more than halfway through the year, and that's actually a really good point to check in and see what's coming up for you. So 75% off on all my 2023 predictions. I hope you enjoy them. Let me know how you feel about them. All of the feedback has been that these messages are quite incredible and quite powerful. So enjoy, and let's move on with the messages. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to us, myself and my team. And I hope you find something interesting here, something that may be presented as a key to open a certain door for you so that you can expand your life and your opportunities. For those of you who are returning, thank you so much for coming back. I'm in a bit of a trance right now, so I feel like I just want to start channeling. Today's transmission is very interesting because I am being asked to channel about what God is. And I'm like, ooh, I'm certainly not an expert. And so I'm going to just let this channel come through. And they call themselves Pleiadians, Council of Nine. And the reason why they're stepping forward is because they have a very important message to deliver to humanity. And I said, okay, what's this message? And this message is so important that it's shown to me as an idea of a telegram. You know how in the old days, before cell phones and texts and emails, we had what's called a telegram. It would be a special, very quick delivery, generally depicting something very important. So these beings from what they call Council of Nine, who are, by the way, I'm being asked to say, very kind-hearted. So they bring their kindness to the table. Okay. They respect our decisions. They respect our choices. But they have some feedback they would like to give us in order so that we can have a more expansive experience in this world. And it's no, they're asking me to say, it's no longer what you know to be true, it's who you know to be true. What does that mean? In other words, who you are is a belief system. We are all a bunch of belief systems running around, believing that we are Joanna and your name and other people, which is all fine, which is all wonderful. But in the process of running around being individual egos, we tend to forget who we really are. And that messes with our experience. In what way? When we forget who we really are, it's not that we have a less good experience, because any experience to the universe is valuable. It's that if we remembered who we are, we could do better as humanity. We could be so much more than what we give ourselves credit for. More loving, more kind, more generous, more accepting. And as humanity, we're not there yet. We can clearly see that is not the case. There are many people punching each other in the face, trying to fight for who is right and who is wrong. But right and wrong are based on our assumptions or ideas in terms of who we are and what we represent and what humanity is. As far as the universe is concerned, or the source of everything, there is no right or wrong. It's all purely an experience. Now, we choose to come into this planet Earth, and I'm seeing the word choose underlined. Apparently it's a choice. I'm saying, I bet you I was protesting. I don't want to go. And I just heard, as a matter of fact, you were the first one to volunteer. I'm like, darn it. They're saying you knew it was going to be hard, but you chose to do it anyway. You chose to do it because you chose to experience life on Earth in order to bring that experience into universe's library. In other words, my experience, Joanna's experience, your experience enriches the library of all consciousness. Now, keep in mind that consciousness is all there is. And you are the contributor to all that is, which makes you a part of all that is. Now, the all that is also a source of everything that exists. In other words, you and I being a part of all that is, which is the source of everything, means we are the source of all that is. You and I are the source of all that is. That is the highest truth. Now, it's not essential for us to believe it. It's not essential for us to communicate it that way, but it is essential that we embody it and accept it. Why is that essential? Because if we are not in acceptance of that, we are in denial of it. And when we deny anything, we live in darkness and resistance. And haven't you noticed that resistance is on the rise right now? So many people resisting so many things. And as an example, so many labels are being resisted or insisted upon. Why such resistance? Why such insistence? What is wrong? Yet from the highest expression and from the highest perspective, there is no thing that is ever wrong. It's all merely an experience. Now, the relative value and the judgments we have about our experience are tied directly to what we think and believe as a human being. So if as a human being we believe that God, universe, source does not exist, so be it. If we believe that nothing has created us, we just came out of nowhere, so be it. But that doesn't make any sense. And I don't believe any of you listening here will subscribe to that ideology that there is nothing other than your physical body, because chances are you wouldn't be here. This would be like unusual thing for you to hear. So you listening, you know, on some level at least, and some perhaps for some of you through an actual embodied experience, that there is more to this whole thing, and it's called source, God, universe, all that is, whatever you want to call it. The name is completely unimportant. And I'm asking the question, okay, why is it important for us to know that we are part of all that is? And what they're saying is, it's because all there is a source of all that exists, and we are all part of that. So again, to know that is to remember that we are source of all that is. We are the creators of what is. We're the ones creating what is. That's a big one. You are in the process of your own creation of what is. And we do this individually, collectively, and on a massive scale. If you believe still that you are a nobody, or that you somehow qualify less than another person, the only thing that quote-unquote qualifies you or disqualifies you is the games you play within your own head. You cannot be qualified or disqualified because you're unquantified. You cannot be quantified. You are part of all that is. And all that is essentially nothing more than pure peace and pure love. You are a part of that. Do you realize that? If you are not an embodiment of that, which is inherently within you already, then you are living under the umbrella of illusion, which is the ego, which is the individual I. And that is part of the beautiful experience. You are here to create. You and I are here to create. There's no wrong and there's no right from the highest perspective. But going back to you remembering who you are and what quote-unquote God is essentially to help you remember that you and what you call God is one and the same. There is nothing other than quote-unquote God or goddess. In actuality, it is both. It contains both, the feminine and the masculine. And chances are you have some idea what God is supposed to be, generally based on our own human conditioning. But in reality, the mind cannot grasp what God is. The better question is to ask what God is not. There's no such thing. There is nothing that quote-unquote God is not. It is all there is, and you are part of it. Do you realize that? Do you realize that you're part of quote-unquote God itself? Now, if you have a certain objection within you, that's your illusions, that's conditioning. That's the umbrella you live under, believing that you are that or not. That's not the truth. In fact, you can very well disbelieve or deny that you are part of the greater God, whatever it is, and be that at the same time. It's called paradox. You and I live in a world of paradox. We live in a world of illusion, and that is perfectly fine. And the illusion that we are currently experiencing is one of separateness. We are not separate. We never will be. It cannot be done. You and I cannot be separate from all that is. It cannot happen. It's non-existent. Doesn't work. We can tell ourselves all day long that we are separate. No, we're not. We're unique. But we're not separate. We never will be. It never was. Separation does not exist from the highest perspective. There is no separation. Everything is one. So let's trickle it down to the human construct. And let's look at it this way. If you and I are one, and I am hurting you, I am hurting myself. Just because I don't see it in the moment of how I'm hurting myself, it doesn't mean it doesn't affect me. Absolutely it does. It feeds my consciousness. Just like it feeds your consciousness when you are being hurt. So why on earth would I want to hurt myself unless I am a masochist, which I guess must be some sort of love, twisted love. Because why would I want to cause myself pain? That makes no sense. Well, it does make sense when you start believing that you are separate and that if you cause someone pain, it doesn't affect you. That does not exist. You cannot not affect the rest of all that is because you're part of it. Everything you do affects all that is. It adds to the overall consciousness. Consciousness is all there is. There is nothing other than that. Just because it cannot be measured does not mean it cannot exist. Can you measure a consciousness of a tree? You can measure its chemicals, but you cannot measure consciousness. You can measure its aliveness relative to, the chemicals running through it and the symbiotic exchange of energies in cells. You can see, you can look at it as it being alive, but you cannot measure its consciousness. Yet the tree knows how to grow. It knows how to create leaves. It knows how to turn to the sun. It knows what's good for it. It knows when it's time to die and when to lose the leaves. It doesn't fight the process. It absolutely has consciousness. We just don't see it. Same with human beings. Just because you can't see somebody's consciousness doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Somebody can be very self-unaware and still be consciousness. Again, there is nothing other than consciousness. So if you look at a person who is unaware, don't make any judgments. For they are part of the same consciousness as you. So when you judge that person, you judge yourself. When you are being harsh on that person, you are being harsh on yourself because you're connected. There is no difference between you and that person from the higher perspective. You are part of Source. Some call it God. Are you God? You are an expression of, which means it makes you part of God. And that may be very uncomfortable for some of you to hear. I know it does a number on Joanna. There is this, how can I be summed up as the same being I call God? No, it's because my human ego is talking. Joanna's human ego is protesting. No, I'm not worthy. Worthy of what? being who you already are. Well, it's too late, baby. It's too late. That train has sailed. You're part of God already. Accept it. It's better than to resist it, because that's where pain is. Do we want more pain? Or do we want to experience more love and peace, which, by the way, is your natural state. It's where you come from. It's who you are at the very depth of your beingness, because that's what God is, love and peace. One cannot be without the other. If you're chasing love, it's because you're wanting peace. When you have peace, you feel the love. Pick and choose. When you're focusing on pain, you're not focusing on peace. That's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with that experience. It's an experience. But is it what you would choose if you knew that you could choose? Would you choose pain? The answer is generally no. Though some sort of pain is very addictive, it feels good in some way. So yes, sometimes we seek out pain. And that's okay. Sometimes pain is more comfortable than being unconditionally loved. Why? Well, if you believe that you are not worthy of being unconditionally loved, that will be very uncomfortable for you to receive. So you will go to your comfort zone, which is you feel undeserving. That's pain. Pain is when you believe something that isn't true. You are part of this unconditional love and peace. It's what makes you up. It's what you're made up of. It's who and what you choose to express as yourself. Gives your experience that then tells you, I'm not love, but that's not you. That's just an expression that you are creating as a human being with an identified separate ego. That's not you. You are God in form. I can't say that about myself. That's crazy. Okay, that's okay. If you believe that's crazy, go for it. Generally, when you think something is crazy, you kind of go, eh. So if you believe that this is crazy, you generally are not going to be welcoming the very idea, pardon me, that you are part of God, which is a denial of who you really are. Do you understand that? We're not talking about the ego God. That's God humanized. God has no ego. None. God invented ego, as a matter of fact, as part of the playground. God doesn't need an ego. For what? It's too confining. God doesn't want to confine itself. That's why it has all of us to have an experience, so that it can experience everything possible. Now, the human mind will automatically be directed to the atrocities and horrors that happens in the world. And the ego will say, how can God want to experience pain? That is ridiculous. That's an absolutely awful, terrible God. No. To God, it's an experience. In fact, to you, it's also an experience when you are not experiencing body with an ego with a whole bunch of assumptions made up in a human form. That is your human ego experience and your judgments about what's being said. That's okay. It's part of your experience. And by the way, no, God doesn't want pain for you, just like you don't want pain for you. But pain is part of the experience. If we didn't experience pain, we would not know what pain is. And pain is an expression. God wants to understand what pain is. You want to understand what pain is. You are wanting an experience from all different 360-degree experiences. No, that's not what your human mind thinks. Your human mind will want to reject that idea. I did not purposely choose to feel pain. No, not in a human body, not even in a non-physical body. You didn't say, I am going to dive into a pool of pain because I can't wait. No, you took up a challenge or two or three, if I may be perfectly blunt, and you said, gosh, those are challenges. I bet you there's going to be some pain associated with it. But I know at the end of it, that experience is worth it, because what I get from it at the end of the day is wisdom, experience, something I otherwise wouldn't have. Okay, so what I will do is I will sacrifice a bit of my feeling, and I'll go through this pain to get this thing that is so valuable that the entire universe can use. That's what you said to yourself, or something along those lines. But then you forgot that. It is important for you and I to understand that we are always in exchange of some sort of another with what some call God. You are in exchange with God every single day. So if you're in exchange with evil, of course I hope you're not. Are you in exchange with God? Well, we could say evil is denial of godliness, but at the highest form, God invented evil. It's part of the experience. I know this is going to be very hard for some human to grasp, because there are so many layers to this. But here's what I want to leave you with today. Whatever you believe God is or isn't, it's way more than that. It cannot be defined. It's undefinable. The moment you give it edges is the moment you humanize it. Okay? Which is not good, because it makes it confining. The idea of God cannot be put in a box. The best way the human mind can understand God is that there is nothing that God is not, and you are part of that. Therefore, if you are part of God, it makes you part of it. God is source of all there is. You being part of God are also source of all that is. You create your own reality. That's what, quote unquote, God wants for you. But God has no agenda. It doesn't say, I want for you to bring me this or that. No. First of all, God is not a human. It's a force. It's energy. It has its own intelligence. It's made up of the yin and the yang. Peace and love go hand in hand. But it's not... Can't put it in a box. It's undefinable. It's too enormous to be grasped with the mind. You are part of that enormousness, which makes you what? Small? No. Makes you enormous. You just don't remember that. And when you believe you are small, you think small. When you think small, you can't do big things. You have to grow out of your smallness. We have to identify our smallness right now, our prisons, our mental prisons. What keeps us stuck where we are? Why is humanity going through this funk right now? The outside wars are indicative of the inner conflict. We are at conflict with ourselves right now, and it's coming to the surface more and more and more and more. And this inner conflict is being externalized on the outside. We create our world. If we are seeing conflict on the outside, we are the creator of it. I'm not saying that you and I created conflict in the Middle East. I'm not saying that, but we are part of the same consciousness. Just because we directly don't have anything to do with war in a different country doesn't mean that we are not part of this experience. Of course we are. There's no separation. If every single human begins to realize that they are basically love and peace, and it is what defines them at the end of the day, and anything other than that is a form of an illusion, and humanity starts to look at, oh my God, this is my illusion. I wonder what is underneath this illusion, because underneath your truth, there is always some deeper truth. Bottom line is, when we realize that we are part of all that is and that we are our own creators, there will be no need to fight for anything. No need for war. For what? I can get whatever I want. I can have my own peace. Why would I need to fight for it? Why fight for something that's already within you? If you're not feeling it, it's because something is overshadowing that. It's inherently part of who you are. You're either denying of it, you're not in acceptance of it, you are unworthy of feeling love. Whatever it is, you are not focusing on that inherent part of who you are, which is part of God. The light that you are seeking, it's in you already. You just forgot. You're looking at it for it in the wrong places. Nothing from the outside is going to give you your light that's already on the inside. It cannot happen. No one can save you, but we can save ourselves. Save ourselves from what? From our own misery. So here's the question. Why on earth would we choose misery? Well, from a higher perspective again, it's an experience. God understands, okay, this is misery. Okay, I see how this is perceived. Okay. But misery as a human being is not something we want. So we have the highest expression, which sees that misery as an experience. And then we have the individualized perception of suffering, which is not good. Okay? They're saying suffering is a form of denial. What does that mean? When you deny yourself who you are in your own suffering. Thank you, makes perfect sense. When we realize that we are love, when we realize that we are peace, which is basically what every single human wants and every single human yearns for in whatever form it comes in, when we realize that that's already within us and we start tapping into it and we start focusing on that, we will live more in love and peace, which is what will be expressed out into the world. When we realize that, the need for war against hunger goes away because there is no longer hunger. Why? Because the universe is limitless. There's going to be no need for hunger. Hunger won't exist. There is plenty on this earth to satisfy every single human being and nourish ones and animals. It's just that we creatively manipulate energies so that it is not so. Why? To create greed. Now, again, from the highest perspective, greed is an experience. But on a human level, greed is, First of all, it's not self-sustaining because greed is the opposite of all that is. In other words, greed is based on lack. But again, when humanity realizes that they are part of and the source of all that is, which is the opposite of lack, there's going to be no need for greed. Greed solved. Remember who you are and what you are capable of, and greed goes away. There is no need. Every single human participates in their own unique expression, which part of this expression is to create. And when every single human realizes that what they can create is virtually unlimited, even within the human body, there is going to be no need for greed. For what? I have everything I want. I can create anything I want. I don't need to steal this away from you. Unless it brings me pleasure, which is kind of sick. But hey. There's a bit of human inserted in this. Be less judgmental and more loving towards yourself first and foremost. Recognize the love and the light that is already within you. Do not seek light somewhere outside of you. Okay? Do not seek to solve darkness outside of you. Solve your darkness inside of you. Know what's in your mind. Know your programming. Understand how you work. Know what makes you tick. Know what makes your world real. What is in your mind? What is on the unconscious level? What is your programming? If we have a mentality of lack, then that means that there is a lack programming. Remember, there is nothing other than everything. The entire universe, the entire existence is an expression of abundance, not lack. But it has abundance of lack if we choose to experience it. I think we've experienced lack already. Do you have lack of compassion for yourself? Ask yourself why. Why do I lack compassion for myself? Lacking compassion for yourself is effectively saying that you're not loving yourself. Why? Why are you not being loving to yourself? If you are hurting somebody, remember, you are hurting yourself. That's not being loving to yourself. So when you are criticizing someone, when you are being mean to someone, when we are behaving in a way that hurts other people, we are being unloving to ourselves. Do we not understand that? I guess we don't yet. You know the saying, the only to know if it hurts is to actually fall on your ass. Pardon me that expression. I think we're falling on our ass right now. We're out of balance. And that's painful. Yet pain is an expression. Perhaps the question is, have we expressed enough pain? Have we experienced enough pain? Could we experience something more? The question isn't could we, because yes, we could, yes, we can. The question is, are we willing to let go of beliefs that ultimately define our real? And if our real is based in lack, we have choice over that. We have authority over that. We have authority of whether we experience lack or prosperity. It's in the mind. Remember, if we believe that there is lack, it's because we are under the umbrella of illusion. You come from the source of all that is, the source of everything. You are part of it. You contain within you everything. I know it's a very hard concept for the human mind to grasp, but maybe look, crack the door a little bit open. Here's the basic message, the telegram. You and God, whatever you believe God is one and the same. So you better not have a ignorant, mean being as your God, because if you're saying that's what God is, then that is who you're part of. Then you want to be that God? Remember, whatever you call God, universe, universal love, source, whatever, is love and peace. It's the yin and yang to everything. It permeates everything that exists, within and without. There's nothing it does not touch. Without it, nothing exists. We could call it universal love. It's a form of exchange of energy. It's the yin and the yang again. Okay? If we deny one over the other, we are in suffering. We are in pain because we don't feel whole. Yet we are whole. So if we are whole but we don't feel whole, what we are doing is we are suppressing. Suppression creates resistance. Resistance often hurts. Okay? What are we suppressing? Are we suppressing our emotions? Are we suppressing our pain? Are we suppressing our truth? What are we suppressing? Now, unsuppressing our truth doesn't mean we get to hit somebody over the head with our truth. No, that's our truth. We may need to respect other people's truth. Again, truth is relative. The only truth is this: there is nothing other than God and... sorry, say it again, please. There is nothing other than what God is, or universe. Okay? You are part of it. Same message. So they want us to remember that we are all part of one, first and foremost. Second, we are all made up of love and peace. It is inherently within each and every one of us, in every being, every living being, including the stone we think of as nothing than just some physical objects and minerals running through it. No, it's all part of the same consciousness. It's just a different expression. Okay? We call it lower form. You know, that's a judgment. It's a label. That's fine. Okay? When we are not expressing love and peace on a regular basis, we are not expressing our true nature. So when we're expressing anger, when we are expressing resentment, when we are expressing greed, we are in total denial of who we are as our truth. And therefore, we create pain because we're in pain. When you deny your own truth, you're in pain. You know what it's like when you deny your own truth and you stuff it? It doesn't feel good. Okay? It's time for humanity to wake up and to realize that we are all one and the same. There's no difference between you and I. It's just a different expression of the all that is. Uniqueness. We are not separate, but we are unique. Everyone has a unique experience. Yes, some experiences are acceptable or not acceptable according to the standards we have set within the human construct. Again, from the highest perspective, it's all an experience. And if you judge the higher perspective, so be it. That's your current judgments right now. That's okay. You can have those. You are allowed to judge if you want. The question is, does it keep you closer to the truth of all is, or does it separate you? That's the real question. Do you like what you see in the mirror? Yes? Great. Love it even more. If not, ask yourself the question, why? Why don't I love myself? Why don't I like myself? Why can't I stand looking at myself? What's wrong? Why? Why are you not being the loving you to you that you naturally are? What's in the way? What taught you, or who taught you to look at yourself in a different way? Whose rules are you living under? What's your theme? What's your idea about yourself? Do you believe that you're ugly? What's ugly? Somebody's ugly to you, maybe somebody's beautiful to them, and vice versa. Okay? Look at the ideas you're generating about you every single day. What kind of thoughts are spewing out of your mind? Are they positive or are they negative? That is not to say that having a negative thought is something wrong with it. Remember, it's all an experience. All I'm saying is, if you have a negative thought about you, you will project that thought out into the universe, and that will become your experience. If you keep telling yourself you're fat, you're going to feel fat. And I'm saying this with an oomph because it's to make us, it's to give that statement. What you believe is your experience. What you hold in your mind is your experience. If you believe that you are less than the expression of God, that will be your experience. Less than. Is that what you want? And if that's the case, that's okay. It's all an experience at the end of the day. The question is, what experiences are we having, and do we enjoy our expressions? Do we enjoy our experiences, which are expressions of who we are being and believing? If we are not enjoying our experiences, then we better be looking at our expressions and where these expressions come from, because they come from belief systems, from our thoughts. Time to reshuffle our thoughts. Time to reorganize our belief systems. Time to tear down the old structures that tell us we have to be something that we are not. You are a unique expression of all that is. Source, God, whatever name you want to call it. If you don't believe that there is anything that exists, so be it. But here's what I would ask you as a curious question. So where do you come from? Well, mom and dad created me. Okay, well, who created them? You can't answer that question. You just can't. There's always something greater than what you think. And it's never ending. Okay? That particular statement just messed with my head as Joanna for a moment. So my ego went, woo, that's a lot. I think I'm going to pause. Is that everything? Yes. Telegram delivered. I hope. Okay. If you had wings, if somebody attached wings to you and said, from this point forward, you can wings and you have wings and you can fly, what would you do? What would you do if you could fly? I would fly. Why? Because flying feels freaking awesome. In fact, last night I had a dream of flying and my God, it felt amazing. And the funny thing is, I somehow know how it feels, even though I haven't flown on anything other than a plane. It oddly feels natural. I would fly to different parts, which would make me feel limitless, unlimited. And therefore, I would experience my life in more unlimited ways. It would also help me see a higher perspective. I could see a lot further and I would be able to make different choices and decisions based on how high perspective I can see. I would be more in wonderment of life. Oh my God, look at this. I would be able to see more. I would have an elevated experience. Now imagine, with everything that I just said about me, every single human had that. Imagine the world then. If you saw your life from that perspective, what would you do? What would you like to do with your life? What would you do differently? What would you allow yourself to do versus what you don't allow yourself to do? Would you allow yourself to sing, to speak more, to, I don't know, shake your booty? What would you do? Would you be more uninhibited? In what ways? Just imagine that. Allow yourself to the luxury of imagining this freedom. Why? Because when you do, you are tapping into your higher consciousness, because that's where you come from. That's who you really are. That's your essence. All the limitation is just a temporary human construct you believe in as your real. It's an illusion. It's a very real illusion, yes. But it is not a the all and be all. You know that already. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have this exchange of energies and listening to what it is that's coming through. Because on a certain level, on a deep level, you get this, you know this is truth. And by the way, there is no part of Joanna here that says accept this as your truth. That is actually the opposite of what I'm saying. Don't accept that as truth. Examine your truth. Look at this truth and see if it connects and see what you prefer. See which one gives you a greater experience. See which one allows you to become more of yourself. See which one allows you to feel more empowered and to say yes to the world versus no, I can't. You get to decide. You get to decide. That's what I want for you. Rather than walking around with blinders in our eyes, believing that there's only one way, I want you to see all the different ways. I want you to see all the different angles so you can choose, you can decide, you can go, oh my goodness, I want it this way. No, but maybe I want it this way. Oh my God, look what I can change here. And I didn't even know that this existed, and that changes everything. I want you to have plethora of choices in front of you. In fact, you do. Based on your perspective, you may not see it, which they might as well be unavailable to you. The difference between having choices and having no choices is a matter of perspective. And that can be hard to hear sometimes, and sometimes hard to see. I wish to thank you for being part of this transmission. This was our honor speaking with you. And we wish to continue this conversation further on a different podcast. Thank you. All right. I hope this was helpful. That was 4747. Very interesting. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know how you feel about this transmission. I would love your comments. This was very interesting for me. My brain is still trying to put the pieces together, but I think I'm just gonna let that go. And I look forward to seeing you next time. And of course, if you would like to work with me and my team, that information is down below. Please subscribe or click the notification button. It helps the YouTube algorithm to put the video up there. And I believe that the more people understand this powerful truth, the world will be better. At the end of the day, that's really, really what I wish for. I wish you love. I wish you peace, which is who you really are. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Remember to click the notification bell to get notifications when I upload new content. Thank you. See you soon.